All right. Hey, I think we're live. Give me a second here. I'll check my signal and see if it's true. We're going to work on converting Warlocks from 2014 into 2024 using the color mana system that we've talked about for the past year and a half. So all those books are published on DMsGuild already. We're just updating everything for 2024, and I love 2024. That's a fun process. So let's see. Checking in on my channel to see if I'm making noise or not, and mic check to see if I'm making noise or not. Yeah, that looks like a positive experience there. So we'll go ahead and record that, and we'll hit there, and then I'm gonna do some social media posting here real quick just to shout out that I'm live. So stick around here with me for another minute, and then we'll be up and running. I can entertain you with my origin story while I press these buttons so that you don't feel like I'm wasting your time. My name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online, and I am, I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1994, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018, when Wizards of the Coast finally bridged the gap from Magic the Gathering into D&D by releasing Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, which was a, if you're familiar with the Ravnica setting, it's got the 10 guilds, and each guild has two colors, like Rakdos is black and red, Boros is white and red, Azorius is white and blue, etc., etc., etc. Hold on real quick. Cool. So converting, when they brought MTG into D&D, they kept the Vancian spell slots and 8 schools of magic that's traditional to D&D, just basically took the world of Magic the Gathering and filtered it through the 5e core game engine to express how that stuff would be mechanically, which makes sense because you're playing D&D, not Magic the Gathering. But back in 3rd edition and 2nd edition, when they come out with a new setting, they would create like custom classes, races, magic items, spells, entire magic systems. So it was well within their previous design capabilities of being able to create alternate magic systems like a color mana system, but they didn't. It turns out Magic the Gathering, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica was the first setting that they had released in 5th edition that wasn't just like Forgotten Realms, like generic white bread D&D Vancian assumptions. It was a different magic. It was Ravnica was the first example and proof that the new mentality of the 5e design team was to take whatever it is that you're doing and boil it down to use the same core mechanics so that you don't have to buy a ton of splat books to make your game run. You can isolate it. Like you have the core books and now you have Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. That's all you need. You're good to go. Like that's how they that's how they've intentionally designed 5e, but it was such a letdown compared to just how mechanically deep 3e was to be able to make very unique characters, not only narratively, but mechanically as well. And that is what I was most excited about seeing Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. So when they didn't offer us any insight as to how to make Magic color mana system work from MTG into D&D, that's what got me launched on making content for the DMsGuild, creating a solution that works and then implementing it. And I've been using it for 7 years across. I think I ran 3 full campaigns from level 1 to 20 using it. It works really well. I'm really happy with it. So I want to update it for 2024 because 2024 rules I think are more fun. And I think the mana system works even better with it. So you're looking at Teferi quelling or binding a demon in the Guildmasters in the Ravnica campaign setting. That's my illustration of the day. Here's a bunch of books that I've created. Let me fix my screen real quick. You can see all of these books. They're all available here. If you scroll down here to the info section, here's a bunch of books that I've already created. They all have free previews, including the entire bundle for the MTG color mana system that we created. Again, we're updating. These are all 2014 mechanics, so we're updating everything for 2024. And so stick around, and you'll see a bunch of stuff. I stream in the morning artwork for the books that I'm publishing, and then on Mondays and Thursday nights, as well as Tuesday and Friday lunches like now, I do actual mechanical design. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. In lockstep with providing full previews to the books that I create, here's the playtest document. For you, it's read-only. Because you'll be able to read the whole thing once it's on DMsGuild. But this is just the alpha draft model. We're still playtesting and stuff. This is not the final format. Certainly isn't the PDF that we're going to be releasing. It's just the general mechanical ideas of it. First off, martial powers. This is the mana system for barbarians, fighters, monks, rogues. But it can be used instead of spell casting for paladins, rangers, artificers, and warlocks. And right now we're digging through warlock options. So we've spent well over 100 episodes of building out the barbarian, all the class features and mechanics for barbarians, for fighters. First off, here's the actual mana system itself. How the channeling as an alternate spell casting, like a martial spell is a power, and you don't cast spells, you channel them as part of actions that you're performing. So it's a very action-oriented system. It has you can exchange action economy for free mana to be able to do things. So you're doing less things per round, but you're doing them with mana so that they have more impact. Less things, more impact. So like you're not making 3 attacks, you're like making 1 attack, but it's going to deal more damage and confer a condition onto the target that you hit, for instance. Strike powers, exploits that modify actions and die rolls. Maneuvers are like spell-like abilities that can trigger on magic actions or bonus actions. We have reactions like you would expect them to be. They're reacting to stuff. The strike powers, which is on hit, deal more damage, spend mana, deal more damage, and deal effects. And then the sustained powers, which are self-buffs, and you can, depending on how high of a level you are, you can stack multiple sustained buffs onto yourself at the same time to basically create action loops for yourself, like unique action loops. There's also, instead of spending mana to channel powers, you can instead learn masteries, weapon masteries, to use with any weapon as long as the weapon qualifies. Like a Nick weapon has to be a light weapon, otherwise you can use it pretty much in anything. A grapple can be used with any melee weapon that you're using. Like cleave can be used basically with anything. And then instead of masteries, you could learn feats. And feats don't give you ability score bonuses, but they don't have prerequisites either. So in the first few levels, you could just stack up on all the feats that you would possibly want from general and fighting styles. And then there's also damage types. So if I hit with a weapon, I could choose to deal lightning damage, or I could choose to deal necrotic damage, or whatever. There's so many class features now. There's like, instead of doing X, you can do Y. It's pretty reasonable to toss in an on-demand system where I could just decide today I'm going to deal cold damage because I'm going to go fight fire elementals. Like, that's informed game loops where you educate yourself on what your opponent is resistant or vulnerable to, and then implement those strategies. And then we actually have like the barbarian, and here I'm going to press enter here a few times. We're scrolling our way down through the document. I'm just talking about the book in general, like the different books that we're creating in general. So we get through barbarian. All the barbarian class features are here. The entire barbarian scaffold has been rebuilt to utilize mana. It's using as much as what you're already familiar with in the player's handbook, but it eliminates things that you don't need because of mana, and it's changing things that get altered because of your resource being mana. So click. Those click through all the class features, and then we get down into the actual subclasses. We have the 4 subclasses that are in the 2024 Player's Handbook. And then beyond those, we have all the Forsaken paths, which are all the 2014 subclasses that did not graduate to 2024, but still exist and need to be implemented. So we go in and we fix those. And hey, Knack, how you doing? Just to let you know, there's some echo with your mic. Okay. Let's see if I can eliminate that. There, I bet that's probably going to help. Thanks for the heads up, man. all the subclasses for Barbarian. Then we get into the Fighter, same thing. Full scaffold rebuild, all the class features from the Player's Handbook translated to use mana, all the archetypes that are in the Player's Handbook 2024, and then all of the Forsaken subclasses, which did not make it into 2024, but can still be used because of reverse engineering. Reverse compatibility, my ass, but whatever. And then we have, Monk? Yeah, Monk, and then I think, what is it, Ranger? Forsaken, and then we get through the Ranger should be next, right? Alphabet. Oh, no, Paladin, right? MP. And then we get through all the Paladin stuff and how that gets rebuilt from 2024 into the mana system. I like the Paladins better in 2024 than I did in 2014. Not because they're limited to 1 smite per round. I actually fucking hate that. It's a ripoff, but the way that we rebuilt it so you could have both the bonus action to boost your damage and still be able to just spend mana on hit, I think really makes the Paladin cool. What they needed to have actually fixed, the problem that they had with the Nova damage that Paladins could do wasn't because you could smite with every attack. The problem was that you could cast a spell as a bonus action, maintain concentration on it until you hit, and when you do hit, you could then stack Divine Smite on top of it. You're double dipping your spell as an on-hit action and a bonus action, doubling down on the amount of damage that you're doing. If you want to crit, you're basically doing quadruple damage, and it was too much. What they needed to do, they didn't need to make smite spells a bonus action you can only do once per round. What they needed to do was eliminate the idea of being able to both divine smite and cast spells and have them both affect your damage. We've demonstrated multiple times that you can very easily have a reasonable cap on how much Paladins can do compared to other subclasses by just reconfiguring it so that when I'm using my Divine Smite, I've learned, like Searing Smite, I can now do my fire damage and like have things appear that were invisible or whatever, like Banishing Smite. I can deal my extra damage because I'm spending like 5 mana on it, so I'm going to do big damage and I can banish a thing, but I would do that instead of Divine Smite. And they didn't need to shift it to bonus action only. That way you could actually still do it on reactions. That's the biggest stink about what happened to Paladins, in my opinion, is that like the Warlock can still use Eldritch Smite on its reactions. Almost any class that has the ability to ramp damage can do so on reactions. It's just the Paladin can't. So now Paladin has become the worst smiter in the game instead of the best. And that flips the script on them for no fucking reason other than I don't think they actually thought through what the problem with Paladin actually was. It's obviously me being very critical of them, but I can be critical because I love 5e so much. You are harshest on the things that you love the most. So Ranger, get through the Ranger, get through the Rogue, all the Rogue subclasses and stuff. Finally, into Warlock. Rebuilt the chassis for the Warlock. We rebuilt all the class features for the Warlock. Last session, we finished. Here's your Eldritch Smite damage, which is less than what the Paladin can do, but you can see like the spell slots they have allocated in 2e2 in 5e24. It's d8 plus d8 per spell slot, and then you only have like your 3rd spell slot, 4th spell slot, 5th spell slot, and then you only get 2, 3, and then 4. Here's the average damage that you would have if you spent all your spell slots on it. And we were talking about this last session. Here's the mana system. It's 2d6 damage per mana that you spend. And a Warlock, a spell point Warlock, can spend 1 point on a 1st level spell or 5 points on a 5th level spell by the time you get to 9th level. But you can parse it out. So Shield, if you got access to Shield somehow as a Warlock, you would only have to spend 1 point for it to be able to cast it, as opposed to a 5 mana as a 5th level spell slot. So the pacing is a lot more generous. You don't need to have a shitload of resources. Like the problem, like a lot of the Warlock design is around giving you more spell slots because Warlocks don't have enough spell slots, which is why they were originally looking at shifting it into a full caster format or a half caster format. It just didn't work because there still wasn't enough spell slots. So they just left it backwards compatible, didn't change it out. But even then, spell slots from 1 to 5, scaling up like a half caster, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. It's not enough spell slots. Having a mana pool does work. So That's just I think they're hamstringing themselves by thinking that they need to stick with the past. I think they would have been a lot better off if they had just switched over to a mana system. The kids these days are way more used to mana pools off of God knows how many RPGs online, as opposed to spell slots, which their only real touchstone is Baldur's Gate, which is just built off the 5e game engine. So anyway, those are my that's my ranting. But we've already rebuilt all of the 5e24 graduated. By far, Archfey is my favorite because with the use of with the Archfey, it drops the cost of Misty Step down to 1 mana, and then you can spend more mana to do the kicking effects. Super fun subclass. I never thought I'd be interested in Archfey, but I honestly think that this is just the coolest. Celestial Patron, I've always been a fan of Celestial, like blending stuff like that. Fiend Patron, okay, whatever. Great Old One was okay. And then we got into the Fathomless Patron off of the Forsaken subclasses from 2014 that weren't upgraded. And now we're into the Genie. This is where we're actually at today, Genie. All that to say, here we are. So before I get into work, let me catch up on the side stream here. Hey, what's up? That spell could be that spell could be a smite spell. Yeah, so you could. I fucking hate double smites. It was broken from the beginning. It never made sense to me. It's just like having 2 effects impact 1 action, even if you're stacking them up for delayed benefit for the with the concentration on bonus actions. It's never settled right with me. Anyway, I'm a stinker like that. Mana magic point bars are just generally more intuitive and flexible so long as you actually balance your spells properly. Yeah, I agree. There was in 3rd edition, back in the D20 days, back in probably 2004 maybe, there was an EverQuest pen and paper RPG, and it the EverQuest role playing game, it came out. It was in that space between Ultima Online and World of Warcraft. EverQuest, by the time your character gets to 25th level or whatever, you got 300 mana, and you could throw down 80 mana to do a thing. It was fucking off the hook. It was. I think I didn't play EverQuest. I had a lot of friends that did, but I never got involved in it. I was too busy painting to invest the time. But I believe they just cut and pasted the mana values from level to level, and the spells that were in EverQuest and the mana cost of it. I think they just cut and pasted it because there wasn't much rhyme or reason. One would be 13 points, the next one would be 16 points, another one would be 65 points. There wasn't really a smooth structure as to how many points something would cost, so it was really difficult to replicate it. But they had 200 spells in there. It was ridiculous. But that was the first, I would say the Psionics from 2nd edition, and then which got graduated to 3rd edition, was the first spell point system that I had encountered. And then I saw it started to show up in D20 games in general from there. But this one we're using, I think, is the best. Otherwise, I wouldn't have invested so much time with it. Obviously, it's the best. It's mine. So we're working on the Genie Patron. Let's drop down here into the... Oh, Jesus Christ. There's 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why are you only getting 5 spells here, buddy? And we don't have to worry about this because all Warlocks get Wish now. It's called Beseech Patron. And if you want to use it, you have to permanently give up mana to affect the world. I mean, you could just cast Wish as a Wish at 19th level, and then you can cast any 9th level spell or lower if you want. It'll cost you 10 mana to do it because 10th level spell at 19th level makes sense. Wish is the only one. But at 20th level, when you cast Wish, you could then open a dialogue with your patron through your DM and say, here's how I want to change the world. And then you start bartering and haggling with your DM over how much mana am I going to have to permanently sacrifice to get this thing. I want haste to be permanently on my character. It's okay, maybe we'll just charge you 4 mana to do that. Now haste is permanent. At 20th level, it's probably fine. You're going to retire soon anyway. Who cares? That's not so broken, but I want to destroy Minzo Baranzan. It's okay, Rage Monkey, but that's going to cost you 40 mana to do that, and there might be Drow clerics that try to fight you over it, So they might be dumping mana into Loth to permanently offset your dump effects. Now you guys are fighting over how much mana are you willing to damp to destroy or preserve something, which is unto itself its own meta, which explains how gods operate. Gods cultivate spell points from their flock, clerics through their clerics, gods through their clerics, and otherworldly patrons through their warlocks. As their characters gain levels, when they die or beseech them, they reclaim those spell points and they add it to the gods pile. So like Thor, for instance, might have 2 million points of mana. And when he wants to make something stick, he just goes, bam, let's put 500,000 spell points into, I don't know, opening a new branch on Yggdrasil, or whatever the fuck it is, whatever Thor would do, who knows. But that's the kind of stuff that you can operate at the immortal level of like how much mana does your god have to throw around, and what do you mortal characters need to do to accumulate enough points of power to actually be able to counteract. Like gravity is an effect that gravity is an effect that the gods imposed upon the world. And no one knows how much mana it takes to dispel gravity. But with enough mana, you could. It could just be that a god of creation just dumped in. We'll put 10 million points on celestial bodies. We'll put another 10 million on gravity to make them work around each other. We'll put 1 million points to bind them into a sphere. And we'll make elves, dwarves, and halflings the primary race here. Let's go ahead and create those for like 3 million mana each. So you've just chunked down like 35 million mana, permanently burning 35 million mana to create this crystal sphere of worlds that are now devoted to that cleric, or to that god of creation. That god will eventually get them back because he's infusing those species with this essence to serve this god. So as their culture grows and they start developing priests, those priests start accumulating mana for themselves. When they die, the god gets that mana back as a refund. So over time, it only takes 35 million priests of first level. Well, you get 2 mana. So it only takes 17.5 million clerics over the course of reality for that god to get all of your mana back for having created this sphere system in the first place. So it'll be years before I publish that book. But that's one of the things that we can do with mana. And the Epic Wish opens the door to that. Like that's like the one piece that that characters can do at the scale of gods in a very, very small scale. And to the gods, it's like, what, you want us to change this thing and we're going to get your mana now instead of waiting until you die? Okay, we were going to get it all eventually anyway, but getting it early is good because we can accumulate more with it. So they'll happily take your mana early. However much you're willing to give up, they'll give you stuff for it. And it just depends on what your relationship with your god is. And normally when you're spending mana like this, it's like you're spending this mana so you don't get double crossed. Unless, of course, you have a god, a trickster god, and which you would celebrate if your god tricked you. So it's like, yeah, spend this 30 mana, you get this thing, but then gets twisted in an ugly way. It's like, well, what do you expect from a trickster god? Why are you giving mana to a trickster god to do things? That's what you should expect. If you want to have a more honest relationship, you should pick a more honest god. So some caveats there stand, but for the most part, when your player is willing to burn their character's permanent mana pool, reducing their ability to cast spells, they should get what they are bargaining for. So that's just friendly gaming. So anyway, that's probably plenty of rambling. So let's start building genies, Dow, Jin. I don't know if I even like this. Oh, genie spells. I think that's like all of them, and then you get these subclasses. I get it now. Dow, Jenny, Freedy. Go there. And Marid. I get it now. Sometimes your guy's a little dense. Detect, evil, and good. Why isn't my music playing? I choose you, Pikachu. Create food and water. Creation. Oh, I missed Phantasmal Killer. Phantasmal Killer creation. There we go. Killer creation. Sanctuary. Thunderwave. You put the fun in Thunderwave. Not really. Scorching Ray. No, Burning Hands. And Spike Growth. Gust of Wind. Scorching Ray. Blur. Meld into stone. Into stone. Wind Wall. Fireball. Sleet Storm. Almost done. Stone Shape. Greater Invisible. Fire Shield. Control Water. And finally, Wall of Stone. Seeming. Flame Strike. Cone of Cold. Cool. 1, 2, Buckled Shoe. There's Genie's Vessel. Excuse me. Genie Vessel. Elemental Gift. Sanctuary Vessel. Limited Wish. All right, let's keep on kicking through. Let's open up a new a new notepad so that we can. Jeez, McCroot. It's a lot of shit, man. We got to be able to boil this down, my man. Genie Vessel. When you take the subclass, you get a huge fucking feature that takes forever to read. While you're touching the vessel, you vessel a lot. Vessel in the vessel. Let's copy, paste, remove. We gotta be able to trim this down. All right, Jesus Christ. This is probably why they didn't pick up Genie, because it's freaking huge. What a monster. Let's see. And you can use it as a spellcasting focus. You decide what the object is, or you can determine what it is randomly. You decide what the object is, period. Fuck off, just trinkets. When you're touching the vessel, you can use it in the following ways. Your patron gifts you with a magical vessel. which is any tiny, which can be, takes the form of any tiny object. Which you can use as a spellcasting focus for when casting Warlock spells, period. You gain the following additional features. Bottled Respite as an action now. Genie's Wrath. Let's see how these things work and see what we can do to simplify our life. As an action, magically vanish and enter your vessel, which remains in the space you left. The interior of the vessel is an extra-dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot radius cylinder, 20 feet high, and resembles your vessel. The interior is appointed with cushions and low tables and is a comfortable temperature. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside the vessel up to a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave, if you die, or if the vessel is destroyed. When you exit the vessel, you appear in the unoccupied space closest to it. Any object left in the vessel remains there until it is carried out. And if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in an unoccupied space closest to the vessel's former space. Once you enter the vessel, you can't enter it again until you finish a long rest. Okay, Genie's Wrath. Once you enter this vessel, you can't enter again until you finish a long rest. Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns, when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. The type of damage is determined by your patron. The vessel's AC equals... What the fuck? Okay, you can deal extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus. I don't know if this is necessary. And I certainly don't know how that's relevant, why it's followed by the armor class. There, that seems more appropriate. Now I'm thinking like Genie's. I'm gonna grab the rest of this features because I feel like Elemental Gift is gonna tie into Genie's Wrath. That's just what a weird place. It's like they have to give you damage. They have to give you damage. It doesn't matter that you got all these spells you can fucking cast to deal damage with. You got to deal extra damage. When you hit with an attack roll, any attack roll, doesn't matter. Type of damage is determined by your patron. Okay. Elemental Gift. You begin to take on characteristics of your patron's kind. You now have resistance to the damage type determined by your patron's kind. In addition, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a flying speed. Elemental Gift. This I think is where Genie's Wrath belongs. Here. I don't know what's going on with my music selection. Enable shuffle. Okay. That should hopefully work. It's subtle, but I like hearing it. It makes me feel less lonely. To hear some sort of noise in the background, it's like, at least I'm not completely isolated. Let's look at 10. Sanctuary Vessel. When you enter your genie's vessel via the bottle, you can now choose up to 5 holding creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you, and the chosen creatures are drawn into the vessel with you. As a bonus action, you can eject any number of creatures from the vessel, and everyone is ejected if you leave or die, or if the vessel is destroyed. In addition, anyone, including you, who remains within the vessel for at least 10 minutes gains the benefit of finishing a fucking short rest. And anyone can add your proficiency bonus to the number of hit points they regain if they spend any hit dice as part of the short rest here. Okay, but you can do that once per day. We already have a hard-coded feature that gives you back a short rest as a 1 minute, ritual. So I don't feel that's necessary. I'm going to drop that. That's just not necessary. This was before you got, before we had the 5e ritual that gave you all your, like the 1 minute ritual that acts as a short rest once per day. So we don't actually need that anymore. So that frees up a little bit of design space to basically permanentize the thing. So we're going to do that. And then limited wish. I've got plans here. I think it's going to work out. You entreat your patron to grant you a small wish. As an action, you can speak your desires to your genie's vessel, requesting the effects of one spell that is 6th level or lower and has a casting time of 1 action. The spell can be from any class's spell list, and you don't need to meet the requirement of that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect as part of the action. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish D4 long rests. Yeah, okay. I think the cleric has limitations on a number of days before you can do that again. Let's see. You beseech your patron to grant you a small. Excuse me. Because beseech patron is a 20th level class feature. Beseech your patron to grant you a small wish as a magic action. As a magic action, you can gain. You can create the effects of any spell up to level 6 that has a casting time of 1. Hold on. Whatever that is, dude. Of 1 action. Spell can be from any class's spell list, and you don't need to meet the spell can be from any class's spell list. Yeah, I'll leave that in place, and you don't need the miracles of the spell, including costly components, including any material components. The spell simply takes effect. And once you use the feature, you can't use it again for D4 rounds. D4 long rest. I'm okay with that. Actually, let's go check out the cleric real quick. Let's look at the cleric's miracle. Oh, divine intervention, whatever. You can call on your deity or pantheon to intervene on your behalf. As a magic action, choose any cleric spell level 5 or below that doesn't require a reaction to cast. As part of the same action, you can cast that spell without expending a spell slot or needing material components. You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Normally, you'd just be able to pick up the spell anyway as part of a long rest. As a warlock, you wouldn't theoretically be able to pick it up until you gained a level. So they're delaying the amount of time it takes to get it back, and they're letting you pick from any spell list. So let's look at the full Greater Divine. 2d4 long rests until you finish 2d4 long rests up to 8. This is up to 6th level. It's up to 6th level spells. Like I was thinking like D2 plus 4, but a number of long rests equal to the level of the spell that you expend. Well, we can just leave it D4 days. I don't like that one. I don't like you getting it back the next day. I mean, it's really fortunate, but there's no tempo there. And it encourages you just to use 6th level. If there's no specific... I don't know, man. Get it back. Any spell? Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a number of long rests. There we do. Let's do that. I'm going to Divine Intervention. I'm going to steal this language. As max action, choose any spell from any list. Any spell from any list of level 6 or lower that doesn't require a reaction to cast. As part of the same action, you can cast that spell without expending any mana or needing material components. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a number of long rests equal to the level of spell chosen. There. I think that's very clean. And you know what to expect, so you know how to tempo it. 10, Sanctuary. We're going to get back to that. Elements of Gift. You begin to take your... You gain resistance to a damage type determined by your patron's kind. Bludgeoning, fire, or cold. Right. In addition, once during each of your turns, when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. The type of this damage is determined. Type of this damage is the same as the type you gain resistance to. Period. which time you can hover. You can use this bonus act. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your spell casting ability modifier, minimum 1 of 1. And you gain all uses when you finish a long rest. Or expend 2 mana, no action required. How long does fly normally last? Great question, Phil. Let's create an answer. Fly. Fly, fat ass, fly. Infuriating. Let's try that. Amon Ra. I like this song a lot. Fly. Duration, 1 hour? 10 minutes. All right, so the duration's 3rd. You get it for free. Mana cost is going to be 3. Yeah, you don't even have to maintain concentration on it. It's super good. In addition, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a flying speed of 30 feet the last 10 minutes, during which you can hover. You can use this bonus action a number of times. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your spellcasting ability modifier, minimum of 1, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Long rest, you can regain 1 use by expending 3 mana, no action required. All right, that takes care of 6 and 10. Furthermore, as a bonus action, body block. 1, 2. 1, 2. There. And elemental gift. Um, 10th level we did not touch, but we need to. So let's first lock down how this vessel works. Your patron gifts you with a magical vessel, which takes the form of any tiny object, which you can use as a spellcasting focus when casting Warlock spells. You gain the following additional benefits. The vessel provides the following additional benefits. Bottle Respite as a magic action. You can you can enter your vessel. As a magic action, you can magically enter your vessel, which remains in the space you left. The interior of the vessel is an extra-dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot cylinder. you can plane shift oops, hold on. Are you playing? Come on, dude. Maybe if I disable repeat, maybe we'll behave. As a magic action, you can teleport into your vessel, which remains in the space you left. The shape of a 20-foot radius cylinder, 20 feet high, and resembles your vessel. The interior is appointed. The interior is furnished as you desire. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside your vessel up to a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus. Up to 8 hours. So you can take a fucking long rest in it. If you die or the vessel is destroyed. When you exit the vessel, you appear in an unoccupied space closer to it. Any object left in the vessel remains there until carried out, and if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in the unoccupied space. It can be furnished as you desire, and is any the interior is a comfortable temperature and is furnished as you desire, but any items created this way cannot leave the vessel. But these furnishings cannot leave the vessel. Is a comfortable temperature and is furnished as you desire, but these furnishings cannot leave the vessel. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside the vessel for up to 8 hours. You exit the vessel early if you use. You can exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave. If you die, no wait, yes. You exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave. If you die, or if the vessel is destroyed. When you exit the vessel, you appear in the unoccupied space closest to it. Any objects left in the vessel remains there until carried out, and if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in the unoccupied space closest to the vessel's former space. Once you enter the vessel, you can't enter again until you finish a long rest. The vessel's AC equals your spell save DC. Its hit points equal your Warlock level plus your spell spell casting ability modifier. And it is immune to the poison and psychic condition damage. If the vessel is destroyed or you lose it, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and the previous vessel is destroyed if it still exists. The vessel vanishes in a flare of elemental power. Receive a placement. Got it. Okay, cool. So that works. And Sanctuary Vessel. When you enter your genie's vessel, the interior of your vessel improves, duplicating the benefits of a Morty's magnificent mansion. And you can now choose up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you. Up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you to enter the vessel when you do. With you, period. As a bonus action, you can eject any number of the creatures from the vessel, and everyone is ejected if you leave or die or the vessel is destroyed. In addition, anyone can add your spell casting ability modifier to the number of hit points they gain if they spend any hit dice as part of a short rest there, period. And that finishes up the genie. But before we walk away from the genie, let's go look at Morty's Magnificent Mansion just to make sure. Magnificent Mansion. Numerous chambers beyond. The dwelling atmosphere is clean, fresh. You can create any floor plan you like for the dwelling, but it can't exceed 50 contiguous 50-foot cubes. The place is furnished and decorated as you choose. It contains sufficient food to serve a 9-course banquet for up to 100 people. Furnishings and other objects created by this spell dissipate into smoke if removed from it. A staff of 100 near-transparent servants attend all who enter. You determine the appearance of these servants and their attire. They are invulnerable and obey your commands. Each servant can perform tasks that a human could perform, but they can't attack or take any action that would directly harm another creature. Thus, the servants can fetch things, clean, mend, fold clothes, light fires, serve food, pour wine, etc. The servants can't leave the dwelling. When the spell ends, any creature or objects left inside the extra-dimensional space are expelled into the unoccupied space nearest the entrance. 7th level spell. That's 13th level. We get it early. It's permanent. I love that. I think this is great. Mord and Canaans. There, 5 people can enter your mansion. 6 of you total, not 100. Limited wish, and honestly, that caps it off. So we just built the Genie Patron. I legitimately like this one better than the last one. I'm now thinking about a Warlock Artificer Artillerist mix that creates tiny turrets tiny walking turrets that double as a genie's vessel. And it would have your hit points, and it would have the hit points of the turret. It does the damage of the turret. It moves around as a turret, and you're just inside of it. If the turret is destroyed, you'd be expelled from it, obviously. But it would be a good way to defend your character while they're sleeping inside of the turret. I love that. I would very much love to play that character. Legitimately be super cool. It has to be 10th level to get access to it, so it'd have to be a 10-10. Probably like a 9-11, because I think the Artificer, they get a... When do they get their subclass shit? Hold on. Artificer's after... Here we go. Subclasses? Yeah, 9. That's right. We get ours at 3, 5, and 9. So I could take 11 Warlock and 9 Artificer and be able to pull off a mobile genie turret. That's fucking cool. All right, we're going to do Hexblade last because it's in the horror UA, and we're going to go look at the horror UA. But for now, let's work with the Undying. This is moving incredibly swiftly. We're doing pretty good here. I was able to get through all my preamble and one subclass in an hour. That's pretty efficient. Let's kick on down to the Undying, and then again we'll come back to the Hexblade when we're done. So let's just stack shit up. False Life. Ray of Sickness. Blindness. Deafness. Silence. Feign Death. Speak with Dead. Aura of Life. Kufin. Aura of Kufin. Death Ward. This guy's all about the death, huh? Contagion. Legend Lore. What a weird add-on. All right, let's piece it together. Among the Dead. Defy Death. Undying Nature. Indestructible Life. All right, how do you do? How do you do the voodoo that you do so well? Among the Dead. Let's see how you work. Copy. Paste. There. You add the cantrip Spare the Dying. You add the cantrip Spare the Dying. Spare the Dying as a Warlock cantrip. And you have we don't do saving throws against disease anymore. Additionally, undead have difficulty harming you. If any undead target you directly with an attack or a harmful spell, that creature. And additionally, undead must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. Additionally, undead. When an undead creature attacks you, it must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. We know how attack works. This stuff is obvious. You don't need to write all that out. Thank you. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or forfeit targeting someone. Must choose a new target or waste the attack. On a successful save, the creature is immune to the effect for 24 hours. An undead is also immune to this effect for 24 hours if you target it with an attack or a harmful spell. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Well, that's a good one. I like that. Defy Death. This one's probably going to go pretty quickly. And then I'm looking forward to looking at the Hexblade. Always interested in what Wizards 5e24 design ideas are for subclasses. Because they give you a lot of stuff, but I don't necessarily like the way that they give it to you. You can give yourself vitality when you cheat death, or when you help someone else cheat, you can... You give yourself vitality when you cheat death or when you help someone else. Ah, okay, got it. When you regain hit points, when you succeed on a death saving throw or stabilize, or when you succeeded on a death saving throw, or when you stabilize a creature by casting Spare the Dying, you regain hit points equal to D8 plus your Constitution modifier, minimum of 1 hit point. Period. Finish a long rest or expend 2 mana. No action required. These are cool features. I know this is the old 2014, but still, they're neat ideas. Undying Nature, begin at 10th level, you can hold your breath indefinitely, and you don't need... begin at 10th level, you no longer need to breathe, nor do you require food, water, or sleep, although you still require rest to reduce exhaustion and still benefit from finishing a short and long rest. In addition, your age is slower rate. For every 10 years that pass, your body ages only 1 year, and you are immune to being magically aged. I'm really good with that. That's fun. That's the Undying Nature. That's a fantastic Spelljammer subclass, because you don't have to worry about air quality, and you don't have to worry about how long you're going to be drifting through space until you bump into something if you're really into really long downtime activities. Like count to 1 zillion. Indestructible life. Wow, this is going really smoothly. I like Undying. I mean, thematically anyway. You regain hit points. And you can expend a number of hit dice up to your spellcasting ability modifier, minimum of 1 die. I like that. On your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal. Additionally, if you put a severed body part of yours back in place when you use this feature, the part reattaches. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Gain a number of hit points equal to D8 plus your Warlock level. Yeah, I'll go with that. And short, long rest, I'm fine with that. I don't need to add a kicker effect to it. I think I'm pretty cool. So that's going to be that's the Warlock. Now we have Hexblade to do. And we have the Unearthed Arcana document here that goes into Hexblade. So let's check and see what we can see. Hexblade. Arcane Vigor. Hex. Magic Weapon. Shield. So I'm okay with full casters getting paladin spells. When you're blending martial powers with spellcasting, the paladin is going to ditch all of the smite spells and instead use the strike power options, because the divine smite and smite spells become class features instead of spells. So you drop them from the paladin spell list, but all the full casters still have access to these smite spells. Again, the paladin can use any smite strike effect as part of the attack action by just simply spending mana when you hit. And you can then ramp the damage with additional dice when you expend your bonus action. So you blow your bonus action, like at level 2 you get 1 point of mana. At 9th level you get 2 points of mana, and at 17th level you get 3 points of mana when you spend your bonus action, in addition to any mana that you would otherwise want to spend to ramp your strike. So a 17th level paladin could choose, when they hit with an attack, could choose just to spend your bonus action to get 3 points of mana at no cost, to then channel a third rank, to channel basically a 3 dice smite, which is like basically a 3rd level spell. Or you could dump in, because a 17th level paladin can cast 5th level spells, has 5th rank of power. You could dump in up to anywhere from 1 to 5 mana, up to 5 mana, to channel a strike up to 5th rank, like banishing strike, for instance, dealing 5d10 damage and then banishing the creature with a charisma saving throw. But then you could also take your bonus action and add those 3 dice on top of the smite damage that you're already dealing. So instead of being 5d10, it would be 8d10 damage that you would deal. And that's a lot of damage. So cheers. That's a lot of damage, plus whatever your weapon's doing. And of course all this stuff doubles when you crit. But the only class that gets a ramping crit is I think the ranger at 8th level, and the champion fighter subclass I think at 6th level. No, at 3rd level. Yeah, at 3rd level you get an 18-19 crit range. The ranger I think at 8th level gets a 19-20 crit range, and then at 20th level the ranger gets 18-19-20 crit range. But that's only when you're targeting something with your mark of prey, which is the hunter's mark replacement. It's a class feature using the system instead of a spell. Spellcasters, full casters, can still get hunter's mark onto their spell list, but like the paladin, the ranger, when you pick up the ranger, you no longer get hunter's mark as a spell. Instead, you get mark of prey, which is a class feature that you can always use and doesn't require any mana. In fact, when you're using mark of prey, every time you hit a target that's marked as your prey, you get a free point of mana to automatically deal a strike, like an extra damage and a condition effect on your mark automatically. So Mark of Prey, and plus it gives you like bonuses to tracking and shit like that. And as you scale up in level, it gets better and better. Like you eventually automatically have, I think at 5th level, you automatically have advantage. When you mark something as your prey and you attack it, all of your attacks are, all your weapon attacks are at advantage against that target. Eventually it'll last even if through a long rest. So once you mark somebody, they stay marked until you decide to mark somebody else or you're killed. And you can use that mark to track people regardless of distance. So it becomes a good bounty hunter feature. I'm going to shift myself in my chair. But yeah, I'm totally cool with the Hexblade getting the Wrathful Smite because you have to blow your bonus action to be able to ramp into it. What I don't like is that Wrathful Smite could be combined with your Eldritch Smite. Let's go look at Eldritch Smite real quick and see how that interacts, and then we'll look at Wrathful Smite. I almost whistled. I'll get it eventually. I've been trying for years. Just can't make that taxi cab whistle work. When you hit a creature with your packed weapon, you can expend mana to deal an extra 2d6 force damage per mana expended this way, up to the maximum spell level of packed magic you can cast as a warlock. You can give the target the prone condition if it is huge or smaller. No, fuck you. You can this just double dips. When you hit a creature with your packed weapon, as a bonus action, I have to do this. You guys are making me do this. Either this or I get rid of Wrathful Smite or any other smite spells. And I don't like that. I loathe. I am absolutely pissed that they quote unquote fixed the ranger by making Divine Smite and all smite spells a bonus action, but they left Eldritch Smite as the actual language for it is not a bonus action. The actual language, hold on, it's worse than that. This pisses me off so much. Hold on. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with your packed weapon, you can expend a packed magic spell slot to deal a lot of damage. And the target has a prone condition if it's huge or smaller. So once per turn, no action economy other than you hit something, spin a spell slot, and then you deal damage. And then you give them Wrathful Smite. So let's go look at Wrathful Smite. Bonus action to cast. The target takes an extra d6 necrotic damage from the attack, and it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the frightened condition until the spell ends. At the end of each of its turn, the frightened target repeats the save, ending the spell on itself on a success. It's a first level spell, and the damage increases by d6 for each spell slot level above first. So it would deal a 5th level spell slot. It wouldn't do 2d6 damage. It would only do d6 damage because the Eldritch Smite does 2d6 damage with no condition effects. It's just raw damage. And then instead, if you use Wrathful Smite 5th level spell slot, it would be 5d6 necrotic damage instead of 10d6 force damage. But the target is frightened, which could end on a save. So that's arguably not a great thing to use. but I am not a fan of you just because the very nature of you being able to use an Eldritch Smite and the Wrathful Smite in the same spell. Wrathful's 5th level spell slot would be, with this system, it'd be 6d8 damage plus a 5th level spell slot, which would be an extra 5d6 damage. And granted, you'd only be able to do that twice because you're limited on spell slots. But it's just the principle of it, that you took away the ability for a paladin to be able to double smite, but they left the ability for the Hexblade to double smite. That just pisses me off. So I'm intentionally going to nerf the fuck out of Eldritch Smite just to make up for the fact that you can double dip like that. And that just enrages me. When you hit a creature with your Pact weapon as a bonus action, you can expend Pact mana to deal an extra 2d6 force damage per mana expended this way up to the maximum level spell of Pact magic that you can cast as a Warlock, maximum 5. And you can give the target the prone condition if it is huge or smaller. God, it just makes me so angry. Rage makes me sleepy. Conjure Barrage. Dispel Magic. Freedom of movement. Staggering Smite, another Smite spell. Bring them on, buddy. Animate objects. Steel, of course. Steel Wind Strike. Of course you get Steel Wind Strike. Why wouldn't you get Steel Wind Strike? Spells. Hexblade Manifest. What else you got? And 6th level is Life Stealer. Fine. It's 2 words, not 1. Tenth level is Armor of Hexes. There's Armor of Hexes. Nope, Hexes. Masterful Hex. Let's read through these features, have some thoughts, and then rebuild them. So, how does this shit work? When you cast Hex, okay, you can cast Hex without expending a spell slot a number of times, blah, blah, blah. Let's look up Hex. I think it's a 1st level spell, right? One, 2, 3, 4. Why are you getting 5 spells? Because the spell runs on Hex. Arcane Vigor. Let's just remove that. It's chintzy to add the spell. Well, it is a bonus spell. I just think it's sloppy that way. We can do better. So, baka baka baka. How does it work? Bonus action requires concentration. You place a curse on a creature that you can see within range until the spell ends. You deal an extra d6 necrotic damage to the target whenever you hit it with an attack roll. Also, choose one ability when you cast the spell. The target has disadvantage on ability checks made with the chosen ability. If the target drops to 0 hit points, you can then use a bonus action to curse a new creature. It's a bonus action to cast. And duration increases as you increase the spell slot, which the Warlock requires you to do. So at 5+ is a 24-hour duration. You cast it once and it just stays up. Okay. We are informed. So when you cast this spell, you can cast Hexblade without expending a spell slot a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses When you finish a long rest, when you cast Hex, a spectral weapon resembling your patron, orbits the cursed target, whatever. Hexblade's maneuvers. Once per turn, when you hit a target cursed by your Hex with an attack roll, you can cause one of these additional effects. Draining Slash. The target makes a Constitution save against your DC. On a failed save, it can't make opportunity attacks. And its speed is reduced until the start of your next turn. What else? Harrowing Blade. The target makes a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the next time the target makes an attack roll against a creature other than you before the start of your next turn, the target takes necrotic damage equal to your commod. And then Stymieing Mark. The target has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn. Okay. Simple maneuver stuff. I'm good with that. Life Stealer. Your patron might allows you to drain vitality from those you curse, granting you the following benefits. Hungering Hex. Whenever the target cursed by your Hex drops to 0 hit points, you regain HP equal to D8 plus your commod. Inevitable Blade. Whenever the target cursed... got it. Inevitable Blade. Once per turn, if you make an attack roll against the target cursed by your Hex and miss, you deal necrotic damage to that creature equal to your charisma modifier. Cool. Armor of Hexes. When you take damage from a cursed target of your Hex, you can take a reaction to reduce the damage taken by an amount equal to 2d8 plus your commod. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your comm modifier and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You can regain a use of that. I think 2d8 plus your charisma modifier. 2 points. It's effectively a first level spell, so we're going to make it 2 points. Just because we're cruel like that. And then Masterful Hex. Your patron's accursed might flows even more strongly, blah, blah, blah. Accursed critical. Any attack roll you make against the target cursed by your Hex score. Crit on 19 or 20. Infectious Hex. When you use one of your Hexblade maneuvers, you can target one additional creature. That target takes D6 necrotic damage. And then Resilient Hex. Taking damage can't break your concentration. Okay, all this shit stacks. Once per turn. Once maneuvers. Does this add to maneuvers or is this different? No, so the maneuvers are you can do one. I think we want to open that up. Target has disadvantage on the next saving throw that it makes before the start of your next turn. Once per turn. Not per round, per turn. So if I have a reaction against a hexed target, I could use... Initially, I could use Inevitable Blade to give you... Stymieing Mark, I could give you disadvantage. And then if I have the means of triggering as a reaction, like if I have a Battle Master on my team provoking attacks for me, then I'd be able to do Draining Slash, which would then give you disadvantage on that saving throw to lessen the opportunity for you to make opportunity attacks and reduce your speed. And all these things are triggering off of saves. So I think I'm okay with you being able to use multiple. And I think that would make up for limiting your Eldritch Strike. Okay, I think I have a game plan here. You can cast Hex without expending a spell slot Let's go with Hexblade. I've got solutions. Let's do them. Right, because PDFs. Because PDFs suck. Right. Hexblade Manifest. As you add hex to your spell list, and it doesn't count against the total number of spells you prepare. In addition, okay, so with the spell point system that we have, you have stacking concentration. So a 9th level Warlock that can cast 5th level spells can maintain concentration on Hex as a 1st level spell and still have 4 slots open to maintain concentration on anything up to 4 levels worth of spells, like a 4th level spell or an additional 4 1st level spells, up to you. And like we talked about before, when you do this, the concentration check becomes 10 plus the amount of mana that you're sustaining or that you're maintaining concentration on. And not only is that weighed against when you make a constitution save when you take damage, but anytime you make a saving throw at all, the result of the saving throw is measured against your concentration check. So if I am a 9th level Warlock and I am maintaining concentration on 5 levels worth of spells, whether it's a 5th level spell, 5 1st level spell, a 2nd and 3rd level spell, or any combination, my concentration check is 15. So if I were to get tripped with a topple weapon, like I get hit with a javelin and they attempt to topple me and I have to make a strength saving throw DC, let's say 13 from the attack, if I roll a 14, I don't get knocked down, but since I didn't roll a 15, I lose all my spells. So then I'd have to concentrate and add those spells back in, which offsets the point that I get so many spells that I can cast. If you want to avoid having your concentration dashed whenever you get dinged by something used in Weapon Mastery system, then don't pick spells that require concentration. If you do pick spells that require concentration, make sure your team knows how to, or you can, defend yourself from taking hits or being forced to make saving throws. But the mana system allows you to make those mistakes over and over and over again of losing that hex spell, and it only costs you 1 mana to put it back in, and you can maintain concentration on a bunch of other stuff while you're maintaining hex. So we take the sting and suppression of concentration away, but we force you to make more saving, to have the results of your saving throws weigh against your concentration, and you're going to have to spend more action economy casting spells over and over again because you're going to lose them in combat. So it's going to be a more dynamic combat. You're going to have to weigh your risk and reward better, and you're going to want to use better tactics to keep your characters from getting dinged too often. There you go. You add hex to your spell list, and it doesn't count against the total number of spells you prepare. Let's see. When you hit, I'm taking away the once per turn. When you hit a target, when you hit a creature affected by your hex spell, when you hit a creature affected by your hex spell, when you hit a creature affected by your hex spell, you can choose one of the following additional effects. Yeah, no. the creature you hit makes a con save. If it con save versus your spellcasting DC. If it fails, its speed is reduced to half, round down, and it cannot make opportunity attacks until the start of your next turn. If it fails, until the start of your next turn, its speed is reduced by half. There you go. Slash harrowing blade. Target must the creature you hit makes a whiz save versus your spellcasting DC. If it fails, until the start of your next turn, if it makes an attack against a creature other than you, it takes necrotic damage equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. And currently, again, Warlocks with this system are allowed to use either Intelligence or Charisma as your spellcasting ability modifier. I want you to have more opportunities to reduce your ability score dependency on your characters by allowing them to combine more readily. So a Warlock Wizard or like a Warlock Eldritch Knight could use Intelligence as spellcasting stat for both of those, for all those classes, instead of having to juggle between Charisma and Intelligence. And there's one more, Harrowing Blade and Stymieing Mark. And my music stopped again. The creature affected by your hex has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn period. Very good. Very good, very good, very good. Very, 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 very good. Nice Stealer. How does that work? Wonderfully, I imagine. You gain the following benefits while you maintain the hex spell. Hungering Hex. Hungering Hex. Thank you, Timely Timer. Almost done. Whenever the target cursed by your hex drops to 0 hit points, you regain hit points equal to... Hey, cool. Hungering Hex. When a creature affected by your hex spell drops to 0 HP hit points, you gain a number of HP equal to 1d8 plus your spell casting ability modifier, period. And inevitable blade. Inevitable blade. No. Yes. If you make an attack roll against a target cursed by your hex and miss, make an attack against a creature affected by your hex spell and you miss. The target takes necrotic damage equal to your spell casting ability modifier. Here's another fun fact. With the combined concentration system that we have for the color mana system, you can have multiple hexes active at the same time, affecting different targets by increasing your concentration score and eating up your concentration slots. But if you have 2 attacks per round, you could have 2 hexes active on each target and then hit each of them. And since we're removing the once per turn limitation, you can have those multiple hexes affecting multiple targets to affect them multiple times. Which I adore. Armor of Hexes. This is great. I love this stuff. These things are fun. When you take damage from the cursed target of your hex, you can take... When a creature affected by your hex spell hits you with... What, this just deals damage to you? Deals damage to you. You can use your reaction to reduce the damage by 2d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your spellcasting ability modifier, minimum of 1. And you regain all uses when you finish a long rest. You can also expend 2 mana, no action required, to regain 1 use. Period. 1, 2, and then level 14, Masterful Hex. Here we go. Your casting hex becomes an innate feature for you Casting Hex becomes second nature to you. Second nature to you. Gaining the following benefits. Accursed critical. When you attack a creature affected by your hex spell, you score a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20. Infectious Hex. When you use one of your hex maneuvers. Where does it mention maneuvers? Yeah, it's kind of sloppy formatting. You add hex to your spell list, and it doesn't count against the total number of spells you prepare. In addition, one of the following additional I don't like using the word maneuver. In addition, when you hit a creature, manifest. When you hit a creature affected by your hex spell, you can choose one of the following additional hex effects. One of the following Eldritch maneuvers. There we go. One of the following Eldritch maneuvers. So when you use one of your Eldritch maneuvers, you can target. Where'd my music go? I'm tired of my. I don't understand how Epidemic works, because I keep trying. I just have the playlist going, and it's just supposed to go, and I just pressed play, and I don't see it actually doing anything. And it will repeat, like, why aren't you? There it goes. Jesus, so it's just, I don't understand. I'm tired. I don't want to burn out on the song. Give me something new. Thank you. Don't save. You use one of your Eldritch maneuvers. D6? I don't know if that's worth it. Hold on. Let's double check. I think we have a better use here. Right, Infectious Curse. When you use one of your Eldritch, when a creature affected by your Hex spell is reduced to 0 HP, you can choose a new target to be cursed by your Hex as a no action required. That's so much better. And when a creature, when you cast Hex, you no longer hold on. There it is. Persistent Hex. When you cast Hex, the duration lasts until you die or fall unconscious when you cast haste. The duration increases to 24 hours without having to upcast the spell. Without having to upcast the spell. Period. Fuck you. There we go. Persistent Hex. Maybe we should call that resilient. Nah, persistent. It's just better. There we go. Hey, that's the Hexblade. Not bad. Not bad. You no longer have to use a bonus action to switch targets, which means you can use your smite spells along with having them hexed. And there's no, and it's 24-hour duration per hex. And you can have multiple hexes active at the same time because that's just core spell casting rules for the mana system. Okay, that finishes the Warlock. We have now, we've completed everything that exists for the Warlock to date now. I think, what time is it? It's 4 o'clock. I've been at this for about 2 hours. And that feels like a pretty comfortable spot to stop. I think what we'll do when we come back, we're going to be back at this on Thursday night. So when we come back on Thursday, I am going to go through the rest of the horror subclasses and see, because we should have all of them in here already. So other than the animator, which we can add to the artificer, but that pretty much cleans up the list for now. So we'll come back. We'll do that. Am I done right now? Every single one of the full casting classes should be resolved at this point. The artificer should also be completely resolved with all the upgraded features, except for, of course, the reanimator, which again we're going to look at. Yes. Okay, so the entire scaffold is done. Let's look at our subclasses real quick to make sure they're all in place. Good, 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 Good. Armor. Good. 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 Cartographer in place. Good. We have all the magic gear. We got multi-classing. Let's make sure the bard is full. Good. Good. Check. This should all be resolved. I'm just jumping through here to make sure nothing weird is going on. You can cast things. Okay, good. Game proficiency. Good. Good. Bard is resolved. Cleric should be resolved. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, 14, 19, 20. Good. Subclass features. Got all the spells. Got all the bits. Yeah, okay. So I think everything from wizard through from artificer to warlock that are full casters, and the artificer, bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. All 7 of those classes are fully done and converted. So if you wanted to play martial powers or the color mana system with 5e24 rules, the core books that we created on the DMsGuild still work. And again, those are all linked right here. So the basic rules of how spellcasting works still applies to the stuff that's in here. Here's your spell lists for Player's Handbook for what colors spells are assigned, which overrides the core mechanics book. But you can also look at Point Warlocks if you want to, or the Elemental Key Monk options, Arcane Trickster, and Eldritch Knight options here as well if you want. But the core mechanics, they still work. How spellcasting works, action economy, spell point usage, spell duration, concentration effects, and researching and changing colors of spells. All that stuff still applies. All the 5e24 rules for character building. This is just dealing with basically spell casting and the minimums from 5e14, how to convert classes. This now has everything for converting classes into the spell casting system here. And then further up the line where we have Ranger, Paladin, Rogue, Barbarian, Fighter, Monk. Those 6, I think they're mostly done. But I'm going to start picking through and looking for instances where it's not completed. So I'm not going to focus on that today. I'm going to go ahead and cut stream now and just reclaim my time for the night. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning to continue working on Eberron artwork for the adventure that we're going to publish on DMsGuild called Crystals of Mabar. And then Thursday morning, I have vacation on Thursday and Friday as well. So Thursday morning, we'll be back for a lot of art for Eberron. And then Thursday night, we'll be on for 2 or 3 hours to come back through and look for class features that haven't been completed. Like sometimes in here, I have something like, well, let's just keep rolling. Let's see if we can find them. I'm going to tool up through the book and see if anything jumps out at us as incompleted. Yeah, see here, like it says no changes, no changes, no changes. That means that I'm just like, whatever's in the player's handbook already for this subclass still works. But that means you have to jump back and forth between different books, between this and the PHB or Tasha's or Xanathar's or wherever, to verify if it's still the same or not. I want to consolidate all of that information into this document so it's easy for the playtest. Like all these Phantom subclass that did not get, well, I think actually it's in the UA Horror. But I don't think the Mastermind the Inquisitive didn't get picked up for 5e24. Like it says, all other features, there's no changes to them. Like I need to come back through and go through all those features and import them in here, so you don't have to look at those extra books to be able to play this stuff. It's all right here. But I'm not going to add the Mastermind and the Phantom and the Scout. I'm not going to include them in the Martial Powers book, because between now and the Martial Powers book printing, there might be new things. I'm only going to print in the Martial Powers book the subclasses that were picked up to graduate the 5e24. And we're going to use all these subclass options. We're going to put them in separate upcoming books or just post them on my Patreon, depending on how likely it is for us to see a new version of it. Like the Echo Knight, for instance. Wizards doesn't technically own Echo Knight. That's an Alexandria thing. But people love the Echo Knight. So I can't put Echo Knight into a DMsGuild book, but I can take the mechanics from this that is on the DMsGuild and then publish what the Echo Knight would look like using martial powers on my Patreon as a freebie for swinging by and showing up. And maybe that's something that we'll do on Monday. We'll see how fast we can get through stuff. Tell you what, when we finally finish all this retooling and fully integrating all of this stuff into the playtest document, we'll take the Echo Knight out and we'll build something specifically for the Echo Knight using the mana system, and we'll put that on my Patreon, basically as a freebie. So my Patreon's down below. You can join for free if you just want to keep tabs on what's going on. We'll be working on it. So that's it for today, guys. I am out of here for now. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is a normal work day for me, so I'll be on for about an hour or so tomorrow morning to do artwork. And then I'll be out for the day, and I'll come back Thursday. Thursday, Friday, and Monday are holiday for me. So I'm going to have, and then we'll be doing Martial Power playtesting on Saturday, 6 level characters. So, all right, that's it. I'm out of here. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you checking this stuff out. Like, subscribe, bell icons. Check out my books down below. Buy them if you think they are cool. Join my Discord for free. Join my Patreon if you want to support me that way. I really appreciate you. Thanks a lot.